My name is Micah, and today I want to talk about freedom from anxiety. At about the age of 4 years old, I became very passionate about all things aviation. I mean, anything when it came to airplanes, I was just crazy about it. I even had a toy airplane I would carry around with me to church, in public. People were very aware that I loved aviation. But also at a very, very early age, I really started to have issues with anxiety. So at 18, I started flight training, and at 19, I got my pilot's license. And over the next 3 or 4 years, I got more of my pilot certificates. And by 25 years old, I had my first professional job as a pilot, which was wonderful. And for the next 3 years, I continued to pursue aviation as a career and was just excelling like you wouldn't believe. But there's just a problem with that. When I was flying, I was turning a blind eye to my anxiety, and my anxiety got worse and worse and worse. I had some coping mechanisms, and I had a lot of issues. I was not going to church like I should. I was making bad life choices. It got to a point where I was like, I cannot do this anymore. I have to step away from my career. I was living in Ohio at the time, flying really big airplanes, doing amazing things, but I needed to move back home. It was January of 2020, and as y'all know, March of 2020 is when the whole world shut down because of COVID. And as you can imagine, COVID did not help with my anxiety. It only made it worse. And during that time, it was about March or April that I had an actual physical and mental breakdown. So bad to the point where I finally was like, you know what? I need to seek help. And I chose the path of medication, which medication helped for only so much, but then it started to hinder just other parts of my life where medication can only take you so far, and I wasn't being plugged into the church. It wasn't until I truly got plugged into church at Glad Tidings where I was volunteering my time, being part of the worship team, and being surrounded by people that love and support me, that I was able to truly start getting into the root of why I was so anxious, why I was so stressed out. And someone even pointed me the direction of Celebrate Recovery. And going to that group, I was able to really pinpoint the root of my problem. Because see, you can try to face your problem, but until you get to the root of that problem, you're not getting anywhere. So the root of my problem definitely is something that happened in childhood, and I don't necessarily know if it was a big deal, but I realized that I never had talked about certain things before. And it's amazing how when you're around a group of believers that ask you like, well, let's talk about this, that it really truly, like, it helps. It really helps when you're around a group of believers that are wanting to help you and try to figure out what the problem is. Flying is something that I've always been passionate about, and I love it, and it's still something I want to do. But because of that medicine, I had to quit flying because it's not legal to take this anti-anxiety medicine when you fly. So one of the reasons why I got off of it, because I realized, you know what, I feel called to fly. So I got off the medicine, and just recently, for the first time in 4 years, I went flying with my grandfather. He's a flight instructor. Truly celebrating the freedom, because fear can hold us back so much from what God has in store for us. And it's amazing how when fear literally grips you to the point where you're like unstable, you pull back because you're just so gripped with fear. And like I said, I've learned fear and anxiety will always just be a little bit there in the background, but I will never let it grip me to where I can't do what God has me to do. And I've learned to overcome that by the word of the Lord, church, small group, and serving at church. And it's granted me the freedom to overcome all things with fear and anxiety. So thank you for listening.